Today we are visiting Graffitti Moviment, which is an eco-organization in Malta. Cristine is a member of this organization and she will tell us about their eco-struggle. We are now in their office in Valletta. What is the environmental situation in Malta?
So, at the moment it's not good because Malta and Gozo is basically are being attacked with these massive developments. For example, I got an example here, like this project.
Yes.
So it's just in the middle of, it's a 38-story apartments and a 17-story hotel.
Yes.
It's in the middle of the communities. These kind of big projects are having a very negative impact on the communities and on the environment as well. So basically the government is, the worst thing about all this is that the government is actually helping these developers. Planning policies are designed to create these kind of monsters. So it's the consumerism and greed of the few basically is taking over.
Yes. And what mainly, for what you're fighting, what is your main goal in environmental protection?
So Malta, the land is very precious. It's we're a very tiny island. So if this kind of development continues ruthlessly, it basically will destroy the island. So we are against many developments, these senseless projects that are being done without a holistic plan. Basically, everyone applies for permission. He's given permission. There is no holistic plan on
Yes. And what do you think is the biggest achievement in environmental protection in Malta?
So this was one of the worst projects,
Yes.
but we actually managed to fight it. And at the moment, the development is stopped.
So it is not done.
They didn't actually. No. This was the photo montage.
Okay.
They didn't actually do it yet, but they started the works. But basically, the planning authority had approved this building, but we, together with other organizations, crowdfunded money, and we fought it in court, in the law courts, and the permit got revoked.
Okay.
So now they are reapplying. They would probably
so you continue fighting.
So we continue fighting, but this was a big achievement.
Yes, it sounds great. And how long time it took for you? Like how many years it was? The fighting, I mean.
I'm not sure. I joined when they were like in the middle. I joined this organization when they had already started.
Because I know such projects, it takes time. It can take 2-3 years.
Yes,
to fight
definitely. Yes, we've been fighting for 2 years for sure now. Yeah.
No, it sounds great. What is the biggest challenge in environmental protection for Malta?
So the biggest challenge that we are having now is wide broadening projects. For example, we have one. We have one at the moment. It's a big development. They are taking up 50,000 square meters of agricultural land, and for Malta, that is a lot of land. A lot of precious land. They are chopping down 550 trees. They are destroying water reservoirs and greenhouses. So that at the moment, that is our biggest challenge, our biggest challenging campaign, so to speak. But we are also working in this with the residents and with other NGOs. The planning authority again approved this project, but we are also fighting it.
Yes. Do you think like Malta needs it? You have a lot of cars.
The problem is, yes, we are having a lot of cars, but there is serious lack of investment in alternative transportation, like public transport and cycling. And these are small things that, not small things, but things that in a small island can be easily achievable.
Yes.
But the government, instead of investing in these alternative transport, is investing in widening the roads, which will never actually solve the problem.
Yes, and Malta is not such a green island. No, you don't have so many trees.
Exactly. So we are taking like our precious few.
What do you think? People are active on Malta. Mainly people, they think about environmental protection, they live in their world and they don't do things.
So, in the past year, since there have been this rapid increase in development, we can feel that the people are becoming more active in environmental activism. However, we still don't feel it's enough. People need to take to the streets much more. Like, things that are happening are very serious. We need to be angrier. I think people agree with us. We receive a lot of support, but then when it comes to protest, they are scared.
Yes.
I think some of this fear is justifiable because in Malta, everyone knows everyone, so they fear of their livelihood, their jobs, especially if they work with the government.
Yes.
But some of the fear is not justifiable. Like, for example, they fear that there will be fights or violence in protests, but it's never the case because our protests are always non-violent, even our actions.
How police reacts on your protests?
We had most of the time it's okay, but sometimes we had resistance.
What do you think? It happened because of your fault or because police just wanted to take some people?
Because they wanted to make a point, basically, but we never fight back. We just let them drag us out, basically.
What is the big crowd you invited? How many people was it?
It was last September, a protest that we organized. It's this one, it means that enough is enough. I think we had around 3,000 people in Valletta. It was an environmental protest.
General environmental protest or about some specific topic?
It was quite general. We had 6 demands asking for reforms in planning policies, in transparency of how the board member is appointed and how it is run. But yes, it was quite broad.
Okay. And what do you think about government in Malta? Do they think a bit about environmental protection or they totally don't care about it? What is the situation?
There are things that can be done, but they are not being done. As I said before, the government is helping actually developers to develop even more. The policies are designed to encourage these kind of monstrosities instead of designing policies that safeguard the environment and the people. There is also the way the board members in this planning board are appointed. There is lack of transparency, lack of independence. They are appointed by the government, and it is very evident that when they take decisions, they take them based on what the direction from the government was. So their decisions basically are being taken behind closed doors, and then they come to the board and vote according to what they were told to do. Yes, unfortunately. There's also the problem with this, a lot of construction. There's a lot of dust, danger, noise everywhere. If you go in some towns and villages, it's it's a mess. You're like in a war zone. So we think that the government should put a capping on the amount of approvals of these developments to limit at least to help and to limit the destruction of the quality of life sort of, because it's not nice living. And we had a lot of buildings crumble last year because of construction happening next to them. There were lots of tragedies in construction sites. People, I lost count of how many people died last year in construction sites.
So it is not protected for them?
No, and these developers continue to go on.
Is it Maltese people working on constructions or some foreign people coming?
There are lots of foreign people.
But let's have a look on the other side.
Yes.
Malta is, all buildings are here old. They were building like, maybe not all, what I see in Valletta, yes, they were building 2 centuries maybe.
Yes.
And now it is new time and maybe you need new buildings. Like you need to develop something, you need buildings because where you will live in 50 years when everything old what you have will be destroyed.
But most of the buildings are not for example, in this story, like common people will not go and live in this
because of the prices.
They're being done to attract
tourists.
Investments mostly, and not even tourists, foreign investors. And it may be good for the economy, but we need to rethink. The government needs to rethink this economic model. We cannot keep going on this economic model. Otherwise, we're going to destroy Malta and its people.
What about energy and renewable energy in Malta?
So, in Malta, the only feasible renewable energy is solar. We have studied wind energy, like the government, not we, like as an organization. But it's not feasible because for wind energy, first of all, onshore we don't have
so much wind.
Land. No, wind we have.
Yes.
Wind we have. But we don't have so much land, and land is precious here, as I explained before. But we could put it in the coastal areas. However, for wind turbines, you need a depth of less than 50 meters. And in the sites where we can put them, it is deeper. So they're not feasible. In sites in coastal areas where it is less than 50 meters, there are issues of shipping and maritime activities, or else it's a beautiful beach and you don't want to ruin.
Sure. So mainly it is solar energy.
Mainly it is solar. There are good government grants for people to invest in photovoltaic panels. However, now people are a little bit reluctant or not sure whether to invest because of the planning again, the developments happening. Because if, for example, I install photovoltaic panels on my roof and then my neighbor builds a floor or two, it will put a shadow and they will be deemed useless. So it's the only solar. So solar is the only thing, but still we're not doing enough. For example, I don't think we will reach the 10% energy target that we have for this year.
You have in 2020, you have target 10% of renewable energy. Yes? But I saw a lot of solar panels, a lot of when you drive from airport to Valletta, everywhere panels. And mainly, what kind of, how you produce energy? It is gas or?
So at the moment, we are connected to since 2015, we have had an interconnector installed between Malta and Sicily, and we are connected to the European electricity grid. So we are getting a substantial share of energy from there. basically that's it. Also, we have a power station, but it is partly privately owned, and I don't think you can have real green energy targets unless the energy is a complete public utility.
Yes. Tell us, please, about recycling situation in Malta.
So, in Malta we have recycling system, like people are recycling, the bins are there. However, I think we have a gap because, for example, there's a little bit of a lack of education on what should be recycled and what not. For example, people still put foils and polystyrene in the recycle, and they don't wash the containers that are to be recycled, and they don't realize that this makes the process really inefficient.
Yes.
So 2018 an EU report has listed Malta as the worst country in the recycling because we only recycle 7%.
It is the worst country in the European Union, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Only 7%, you said?
7% only
7%.
in 2018.
Yes.
So
And other, your island, where you put your waste?
we have landfills, and we also have a big problem with construction waste.
Okay.
Most of the
Yes,
waste is
sure.
construction waste and demolition waste. In fact, as a movement we are going to propose that there are some serious discussions on recycling of construction waste.
Yes.
Like, for example, concrete can be recycled,
Yes.
and even other stuff if they are separated. And
Yes. Can we speak about green cars, like electric cars, or maybe cars standard Euro 6?
okay, so at the moment there are some incentives to invest from the government to invest in electric and hybrid cars those are our sort of green cars, but they're still quite costly, and people are not. I don't think people are investing a lot in them. Also, Malta should this year the government should put a cut-off date of importing of diesel and petrol
Yes.
cars. It should be done this year, but we're not sure. Hopefully, we'll go towards greener cars. But I think the problem is the lack of investment in alternatives. Like cars,
Yes.
for such a small island, we shouldn't rely on cars to move from one place to another.
Yes. And what about public transport?
It's not so good.
You have mainly buses, or you have some electric public transport?
No, the public transport isn't electric.
Isn't it?
No, it's not electric. But again, for example, night buses are only to certain areas. So people would still invest in a car because during the night you cannot reach unless it's for a taxi. So there are some small things that the government can easily do now, but he refuses it.
For example, like what?
Like, for example, improving, as I said, the bus system.
Yes.
It can easily be done. I mean, it's not some grand project.
Yes. What do you suggest for people who are interested in environmental protection?
Okay, so if they cannot join a movement, maybe they support one or go to protests, go to the streets more. And environmentalists to put pressure basically, because I think environmental activism is not just about doing cleanups or reducing plastic waste, which is all very, very good. But I think the capitalist exploitation of the public land and the way our economic model is built should be of serious concern to to everyone and should be a priority. We can change that. We can be the change. So if people join us, if people support us, we can bring that change, I believe.
Yes. And how now your organization builds, where your organization takes money? It is like 25 years. Who supports it?
We basically are very low budget. We try and do everything on our own.
Yes.
Even banners, we paint them our own. We try not order stuff.
Yes.
But we do some fundraising events and ask for donations, basically.
Yes. So you have some donations from private people?
From people.
Yes.
Not companies,
Of
just
course.
from people who support us.
Okay.
One of the most recent is this protest that we did. It was a 4-day protest. This is the planning authority in Malta, and we camped outside their building for 4 days, basically, where we demanded a revision of a petrol station policy.
Yes.
So this is another protest that we did after 3 buildings crumbled down because of construction. In fact, these are the residents in which their building collapsed. And they had a lot of support, and this is the largest protest that we've organized so far, that we did last September. Enough is enough. It was on the demands that I had explained. So we had this small island in Malta, and it was illegally closed off by the developers. It was illegally closed off for 16 years.
Yes.
And we demanded access because it's the people's space.
Yes.
And we cut through the fences. And as you can see here, these are our activists entering the Manuel Island. And the banner with the residents here of the area demanding access.
Yes. And what is the result? What is the situation on
At
island
the
now?
moment, the project is at halt. There is nothing happening.
Okay. As Cristine told us, the main environmental issues in Malta are the constructions and expansion of roads. My dear viewers, do you also face the same eco problems? I would love to read your comments. The waste created by construction projects is becoming a big problem in many countries. Also, the expansions of existing roads will lead to more traffic and then will increase gas pollution. What do you think? How can we reduce the number of vehicles on the roads? If you also experience eco problems, you are welcome to mention them in the comments. Thanks for watching this video until the end. Please subscribe to my channel and see you on the next video of Eco Trips. Bye!